Okay, so we're going to talk about Google Drive and how it can be used to organize all of your files. So, the easiest thing to do when you're working in Google Drive and to keep things organized is to use the New button while you're in your drive. Make sure it's highlighted here. And then you just click New and then you click Folder. And I'm just going to name this Google Course 1. Okay, you create that and it places that folder. And once it places the folder, it automatically organizes it how you want it to be organized. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can organize things. So if I click here, I can reverse the sort direction by name. And so it can start at the top. And notice I have a star there, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then if I click it again, it will reorganize it in the reverse direction, putting the last first. Okay, so that's one way you can organize it. You can always do it by last modified as well. So you can do it last modified by me, last opened by me. So if I do last opened by me, it will organize it in that fashion. Okay, and then if I do it last modified, it organizes that column in that fashion. Notice it's not reorganizing it here. It's just reorganizing the dates here. Okay. All right. So another thing that you can do once you're on here is you can do priority, but I probably won't get into that today, but I will get into that maybe in the next course. So the other thing that you would want to know is the difference between shared with me and shared drives. Okay, so the biggest difference between those is shared with me is that is something that someone has given you access to, either view only or edit. So they have given you access to that item. Could be a file, could be a folder, could be a PowerPoint, could be any kind of sort of thing. So that's something they've done and shared with you. You are not the owner of the things in here. So if I click here and I click delete, I'm only deleting it for myself. I'm not deleting it for them. Now, this person here made you, she may delete it and it will delete it for you. So when it's shared with you, you're just given access to it, but you are not the owner. And so you don't have to really be careful here. Like, oh, if I delete this, is that going to do something? The only time you have to be careful is if you've shared something with somebody and it's in your drive. If they're using it and you delete it, they have no longer access to it. Okay, so that you have to be careful when you start sharing stuff, and you got to understand if it's something you own and you delete it, it deletes it for everyone. If it's something someone else owns and you delete it right here, doesn't matter. It's just going away for you. Okay. Also, the shared with me does not take up space on your drive. So you don't have to like, oh no, what if I'm going to run out of space or those kind of things? It doesn't take up any space for you. All right. The recent is just what you would think it is. It's what is open right now. The starred is things that you have starred so that you can find them quickly. I'll do that in a minute to show you. And the trash are things that, of course, you've deleted over time. And you can obviously get things back if you want to. There's a little restore button if you need to restore it. All right, so I'm going back to shared drives to show you the difference. Shared drives is a little bit different. The shared drive is kind of like if your school used to have this drive that was on the network, quote unquote, and you could put files in there, and then IT would meet and they may delete things off of that every year to clean the drive back up. That's kind of what shared drives are, except now it's in the cloud. So that means that anything and everything can be stored here. It's not going to go away. You don't have to worry about that. But it's like groups of people. So where this could be useful is if you have grade level meetings, like if fifth grade meets periodically throughout the year, you could have all of your fifth grade teachers part of the shared drive, and they're dropping tests in there, they're dropping worksheets, projects, different things they're doing, maybe even videos and pictures of what's going on in their classroom. It's the fifth grade drive, and there's different sharing settings within inside that. Okay, so those are the main things here. So you've kind of learned how to organize it, how to start. I'm going to go back down to where I typed in Google Course 1. So if I click inside that, here's how you want to make sure you stay organized. When you want to add something new, you click New, and then you pick what you're going to add. So if I put Google Docs, it's going to put it in this folder. That file that I'm creating, whether it's a sheet, a doc, a slide, I can click more. Any of these options, once I click on it, it automatically puts it in this folder for me. So I don't have to hunt and find it later, try to search the drive up here. It's going to put it in this folder that I want it in. Okay, so when I click Docs, it opens up the Google document. I'm just going to name that real quickly. And this should be just a practice that you do. The first thing you should do before you get started is name the document so that you know what it's called. Okay. And then from here, you begin doing your document. Okay. And as far as a document goes, that's for the next module. Okay. So you'll see that in this Google Course 1, I'm in that folder. Here is that file. So I don't have to worry about that. Okay. I'm going to go back to the drive. So again, anytime you want something to be placed in a particular way, I suggest do a new, create the folder, then go to that folder and then put whatever it is you want in it by just clicking new. You should always start in Drive. When you're wanting to work with a Google document, go to your Google Drive first, find where you want to put that document, and then click new, slideshow, PowerPoint, whatever it is, whatever you're working with, you're doing it from within inside there. Let's say that you have a PowerPoint, you want to upload it. You just click new, you click file upload. What's great about Google Docs now is it will open up the PowerPoint in Google Slides, and you can do all of your edits in Google Slides, but it retains the file extension of a PowerPoint. So it's not going to change it to a Google slide. You're just editing it in the Google Slide platform. So we'll get into that maybe once we get to the slide module. But for now, I'm just showing you what you can do. So I can do a file upload, and then I can pick the file that I want to pick from my computer that I'm working from. So I can navigate to my documents and find that file that I want to upload and upload it. Again, wherever you are, that's where it's going to upload it. So if I want to upload it to a certain folder, I would go to that folder first, new, file upload. And I keep reiterating that because what I see time to time is that the drive gets just messy. People give up on it, and people just don't even navigate through the drive anymore. It's very good to keep things neat and organized. Once a folder is here, you can do a couple of things. If you two-finger click on it, if you're working on a laptop, or you're working on a desktop, you right click, it will give you these options. I can add a star, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You can rename it, you can change the color, and the color is what I like to do to kind of make it pop out so that I can find it real easily if I need to. You'll also notice I have an asterisk beside this. The asterisk puts it at the top because this is something that I'm working on right now, and so I want to find it very quickly in my Google Drive. I don't want to have to search for it and scroll down. I want to find it immediately. And so once that happens, you can change it, if you no longer want it to be at the top. So let's say I've worked on this, I've done all my work, the time has come and gone, and now it's time to work on something else. All I have to do is rename it and get rid of that asterisk. Okay, so the asterisk is just to put it there. The hashtags do the same thing. The asterisk just supersedes the hashtags. What I usually do hashtags for is things that I do need to access periodically, and it needs to be conveniently there at the top. Another way to do this, if you don't want to worry about the asterisks, is the star. So if again I two-finger click or right click, I can go to the added to starred. And then right here, if I go to starred, there it is. So again, you don't want to star everything because then it just becomes messy. Starred is for, again, just accessing it quickly, things that you need to access quickly. And the good thing is about it is the same thing with the asterisk and the hashtag. I can just remove the star and it no longer goes in the starred. So once I'm done with it and I don't need access to that periodically and in a convenient manner, I can just unstar it very quickly. Okay, going back to my drive, if I click here, there's another way you can look at this drive. So right now I have it in list view, but you can also look at it in grid view. Okay, same thing. I don't particularly like the grid view myself because I grew up, using Windows computers, and Windows computers put everything in a list, and I like the way that looks. All right, going to settings, and this will be the last part of the drive discussion because you'll be able to do the module very easily, is the settings. This just helps you do some things. What I will say is you do not want to do this. Convert uploaded files to Google Docs Don't do that. That will make your life miserable, because sometimes when things get converted, it messes with the formatting, and because of that, you run into issues. Okay. You can also create the offline. Again, I don't use that. I like to have access just online only. If you're working from Google Docs, quite a bit, you may want to turn that on. If you're working from it daily from a location that you don't have internet, that would probably be a place to do it. But I generally have access to internet, so there's no point in me doing that. Okay. And again, right here, that's a very important part. Don't turn this on if you're working from a public or a shared computer, because then, if you accidentally stay logged in, and they are not off, if they're offline, then they can access that stuff. So again, density, I like the comfortable density, but you can also switch it to compact, and I'll show you what that does. I click done. See how nice and compact it looks. That's all that does. So that's what those do, the density. Here, you can also make relevant files handy when you need them in the quick access. I don't like that, and I'll click it and I'll show you why. It puts the most recently opened files and created files right here at the top. Well, it is very rare that I need access to those files. So to me, it's taking up space, and I'm having to scroll further to find what I need. So I don't like that being turned on. So I turn that off personally. Okay. The other thing is make surface important people and files in the shared with me. So again, that's going to be on the shared with me. When I go to that, you'll see that there was a list just like the quick access. I do have that turned on because from time to time, something has been shared with me very recently, and I just want to go open it. So that makes that easy. But you don't have to have that turned on. Make priority my default homepage. So the priority, I can do that, of course, but I'll show you what the priority is. The priority are things that I've created that I think is a priority, and also Google Docs thinks these are priorities because, again, these are the recent files. The workspace here is where I can put files that are very important to me. And again, the reason I don't personally use this is the star does this part for me. If I was working with a slide and a doc and a form and all kinds and a sheet, and I was working from these 4 particular things for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would create a workspace so that those are all in one spot. So that's all it does, is it puts all those files in one spot. So if I create a workspace, I'll show you what I'm talking about, why I don't use it personally, is I can add files, and it's going to bring these up, and I'm just going to pick a few to show you what it does. So let's say that one, and that one. I'm going to insert those, click done, and then they're here. So if I want to open this one up real quickly, I just double click on it and it would open. So it just puts all these in a nice convenient spot. I star them for the time that I want to use them, and they're there. So again, it's all up to you how you do that. I could see this being important. Like if you were, let's say, a science teacher, and this was week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you had your weeks kind of split out to, here's the documents I'll be working on during those weeks. That could be a very easy way of accessing those quickly. Again, it's all up to you. What I would do is just in my drive have week 1, week 2, week 3 inside of some other folder. So again, it's all personal preference. So I'm just showing you the options that are available out there for you guys. All right, that's pretty much everything you need to know about Google Drive to get started with Drive. Again, this course is all about the basic outline. Okay. So that's about all you need to know about Google Drive. The last thing I'm going to show you is some sharing settings. And so I hope you have stayed tuned to the whole video, because the sharing settings are very important. So I'm going to go back down to that Google Course 1. Right here's the little man. Okay. If I click the little man with the plus sign, it brings up my sharing side of things. I can share this with people or a group. So when I click on it, it automatically brings up a list of people I normally share things with. But I can also start typing a letter. And when I start typing a letter, you'll see other names come up. Okay. Another thing you can do with the sharing settings, you can share with groups of people. So if a group has been designed, let's say that all of you are in an English language arts group, and there's an English language arts group email out there, you can share it with that group email. And then the whole language arts department gets it. If you have a fifth grade group email, the whole fifth grade group would get this particular thing that I'm sharing. Okay. So I can do that like that, or I can get a link. Okay. So right now you'll see it's restricted. Only people added can open this link. And I can change the link to Okefenokee Risa. And when I click on that, you'll see there's a drop down. So what I can actually do is I can say restricted, I can say Okefenokee Risa, or anyone with the link. Okay, so if I keep it at Okefenokee Risa, no one outside of the Okefenokee Risa domain will be able to access this file or folder or whatever it is I'm sharing. Anyone with the link means I can share it with anyone out there. It's public, and anyone with the link can be a viewer or an editor. So I can change that even. So if I want people outside of my domain to be able to edit once they grab a hold of this link, I can do that. Okay. Again, you have to be very careful with that because whoever's an editor can add editors by just giving them the link. Okay. So you have to be careful with that settings and understand what they are. So again, I can switch this to restricted. Only people added can open the link, this link. Okay. What that means, I'm going to click done. I'm going to go back to it. What that means, restricted, means I have to add them with this dialog. If they are not added with this dialog right here, if I don't specifically add them to it, they will not be able to have access to it. Okay, so that again, that's a good way to keep things locked down to very particular people. And here I can share it outside of my domain, no big deal. You know, if I want to add, you know, Dr. Horner from Brantley County High School, I can do that very, very quickly, very easily. No problem. And I can add him as an editor and notify him and type him a nice message saying, hey, you now have access to this. Okay. Those sharing settings are important to understand. You can also click here and put editors can change permissions and share. I can uncheck that. And what that means is the people that I give edit access to can't give edit access to anyone else. Okay, so again, that's a nice setting to have, and I'll talk about that again. If that is checked, that means they can share and do all kinds of things. If I uncheck it, I am the only one that can share. Okay, so that's a very important setting. All right, I'm going to click done. So what we've walked through, just to kind of recap, is all of the navigation of Google Drive, how to organize the Google Drive, the different types of sharing settings with individuals if you want to give them edit access or view access, and also the difference between shared drives, shared with me, recent, starred, and the trash. So those are the things we talked about today. I hope this was helpful. Get started on Module 1 task. Once it's completed, let your supervisor know that.